Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, July 4th. Happy America Independence Day to all of our friends down south. My name is Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And happy July 1st, Canada Day.
Yes.
When is Australian Independence Day?
Well, Australia Day is January 26th.
So we'll have to celebrate that.
That's the day my mum died. Kind of yucky, huh? Sorry, no, I'm not a downer.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Jesus.
That's...
Boom!
Oh.
Just blew the whole show up right there, didn't you?
Did not. It's okay. I was like, oh my God. I don't want to have a therapy session about it or anything.
This is show number 1,180 here on July 4th. Again, happy 4th of July. Hopefully all of our American friends, you have fun. It's a safe holiday. You have a good time, but just don't get out of hand. We had ours, July 1st was Canada Day, was this past Sunday. We had a lovely little walk around the downtown, the lower village, as they call it here in Gibson.
Yes.
Had a lovely gelato with Rory.
Yes.
I don't know about yours. Mine was really good.
Mine was good.
Mine was
Yeah.
very
It's nice ice cream from Mike's.
And then yesterday we went kayaking.
We did.
My first time ever in a kayak. Now I'm a used to be, not anymore. Used to be an expert level canoeist. So I'm very, very comfortable, very, very good in a canoe. I know all the right strokes, and I can canoe up to level 3 rapids. They go to level 5, in case you're curious. Up to level 3 rapids, and I'm very, very comfortable. I've never been in a kayak before in my entire life. Now you have been, haven't you?
Oh yes, yes.
Have you been kayak? Would you?
I did lessons.
You a beginner kayaker, intermediate kayaker, expert?
I think I'd still consider myself a beginner, even though I took lessons.
But you're comfortable in a kayak.
I am.
Okay. Want to get the comfortable part? We'll come back to. So we go down to Sunshine Kayaking right here in the town of Gibsons, and the lady puts Rory in the kayak, and he gets in without a problem. Puts Melissa in the kayak, she gets in without a problem, and off they go paddling. We got 2 singles and one double. That's Rory and Melissa, and 1 single, me. And the woman says what she wants us to do is to test sit in the kayak, just to see where the feet are, and so she can make the adjustments for the rudder and that kind of stuff. No problem. So she says, do this. And she says, straddle the kayak. And so I'm up on the kayak, and the kayak seating hole, what's the hole called?
Opening?
The opening is directly below my butt. And she says, okay, now just sit down in the kayak. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't bend that way. I'm not nearly flexible enough to, from a standing position, go down into basically a deep squat. It's not going to happen. So I told her, I said, I can't do that, right? So I sort of lean one way, and it's very inelegant. And I get my butt into the opening, but not through it, because my butt's too big for the opening. Now, I admit I'm overweight. I'm not obese.
No.
That was a really tiny hole, okay? It's a tiny, tiny opening.
Yeah.
My ass would not fit in the opening of the kayak.
I was out in the kayak. I wasn't seeing all this.
So, right then and there, I'm humiliated. I'm embarrassed. I'm too fat for the kayak.
Oh, no. She didn't pick the right size for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so she's, I guess we need a bigger one. Yeah, lady, I'm 6'3", okay?
Yeah.
You should have seen that coming.
Yeah, no, she wasn't. But she was a busy lady. You could see she'd just been on a,
So we unhook the bigger kayak, and the hole is much bigger. Now, this is the hole I can do. But the process of getting in, same thing. Can't do it. So I got to sort of half kneel, it just wasn't elegant at all. So we get in the canoe, and again, I'm not only inflexible just from lack of activity and age, but also just from sports. My knees, my knees are banged up and not great. And so we get in there, and she literally slams one of my knees down and then to the right.
Did she?
Underneath. I'm like, no, don't do that, because my hips don't open that way.
Oh.
So she's now reaching into the kayak, and she's trying to get the rudders, the pedals done, and it was just a nightmare.
So she was squishing you into that.
Yeah,
she was woman handling you.
It was 10 pounds of sausage in a 5-pound case. It's not pretty. So then she's okay, get out. And I'm thinking, can't you just push me in?
Yeah, really. Can you get a crane and just lift me, just pop me on the water?
Slide me in.
That would have been funny.
So to get out, I literally just tip over the kayak and then just crawl my way out of the kayak. She's like, no, no, no. I'm like, lady, this is the only way I can do it. Because somehow she expects me to be able to put my hands on the kayak and then lift my ass up under the seat. But the problem is my knees won't let me. I literally couldn't do it. Even if I had the strength, which I frickin' don't, I couldn't get up out of the kayak. So I fall out of the kayak. Put the kayak in the water. She's like, okay, get in. I'm like, this is going to be I'm going to fall in.
Now you had to do it in the water.
I'm going to fall in. So I sit down on the dock, swinging my feet, so now the kayak is now about a foot below the dock. So this is going to be a little bit easier, I think. So you sit on the dock, swing your legs into the kayak, and then you sort of got to scooch your butt off the dock and then flop into the kayak. And I'm thinking, this is where I'm going to fall over. And sure enough, I plop in, but luckily she was holding it. And then she says, now just wiggle back and forth to see. She said it's not tippy. These big wide ones aren't very tippy. She says, just, wiggle back and forth to see how tippy it is. And I wiggle back and forth and I almost go over. I'm like, this fucking thing is tippy. And then she sends me off on my way. And I could feel there's a center line of every boat, right? There's that imaginary line right down the center where your weight should be over the top of it. And I could feel every time the top half of me got over the center line, left or right, it felt like the thing was going to tip over. So it was very stressful mentally trying to keep my body rigid so I wouldn't tip in either direction. But then the problem was every time I went to paddle, you're bracing your feet against the pedals, and it felt like that pulling was going to pull me over the side. And so it was very, very stressful trying to do the kayaking. You, on the other hand,
I am never going kayaking with you ever again.
Why not?
Just I will go canoeing with you for the rest of my life, but I'm not going kayaking with you. It was awful. You got grumpy and snappy, and you'd sit and you're shut down. You went on strike like a child.
I did not. I was resting.
You did. I'm like, Shawn. It's just like, whoa, okay.
I was resting.
Well, I don't want to be separate. Well, it's inevitable. It's like, oh my God. Okay, dude. It was horrible, horrible.
No.
The photographs, that was like a moment for the photographs, people. This is an example of how social media can portray, we were kayaking, that our life is so great. No, it was horrible.
When actually you can't see or hear the cursing and the fingers being flipped off. And
no, it's like, okay, do you want me to come to you? No, I'll come to you. Because we got to this thing where we could be side by side and I'd hold onto the kayak and we'd have our paddles as stabilizings. But no, we'll go canoeing.
Canoeing, we can go kayaking again if you want to be in a kayak. But for me, I'm definitely more comfortable in a canoe.
I love canoeing. I've been canoeing.
I think you can, because one of the problems that we had in the kayak is I had this romantic notion of taking pictures and video of my wife and our son floating by us and that kind of stuff. But I was.
He was completely.
Melissa said, "What time is it?" I don't know. Where's your phone? Come on, leg. We'll get it. No. Because I got the paddles here, and I'm just paddling like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's another issue with a kayak in general is that it's tough to get, and you're also in a very set position. I mean, I was leaned back and not in a very comfortable position to begin with my feet really far out, and you can't move from that position for 2 hours while you're in the kayak. It wasn't comfortable at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've been my ex-husband and I did lots and lots and lots of canoeing. And
lots of canoeing. Isn't he special? Why don't you marry him?
That's enough now. And I am much more comfortable in a canoe. You can grab your lunch. You can grab your camera. You can move your legs around. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I like
and
canoeing.
people. I mean, I'm in good shape, and my back is sore today.
No, that's funny. I have no soreness or stiffness at all from. Okay, I was fully expecting to, but I'm so used to. And I'm not even used to it because I haven't done it in 15 years. But I love paddling. You can get in the front of a canoe with me and just lie down in suntan, and I will paddle to hell and gone. I love paddling.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I have no stiffness, soreness at all where you'd expect it to be. My back was a little bit sore because I was sitting in that position for so long, but I was fine.
You do remember we've been canoeing together, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
in a great big huge canoe.
Okay.
What else was I going to say? Oh, shoot! Hang on a second. I thought I had this ready, but I don't. Go ahead, talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, let's see. Susan likes to go river rafting. I love river rafting too. I've done that. I did that in Australia.
Like, but your river rafting is more along the lines of, just what am I trying to say? Just basically shooting down the river. You're not steering the boat down the river. That's what I'm saying.
No. Well,
see, that's what I'm not crazy about. River, I'd rather be in control of the boat as I go down the river.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea of I don't mind river rafting where you're just basically in the paddle. You're not actually paddling. The guy in the back you're in a big Zodiac and going down a river.
Oh yeah.
So for me that doesn't do a whole lot for me. I like it, but I would much prefer to paddle.
Yes.
To canoe.
It's easier to pack a canoe. With a kayak, these little areas you got to shove everything, and it's easier to look for something in a canoe.
This is what I wanted to do. So this afternoon, Melissa and I this morning, we go for this little walk. And, of course, you're not going to be able to do that. And we went to the place where 1 year ago today, Melissa asked me if I wanted to come over and see her for coffee.
Yes. We met for a cup of coffee.
1 year ago today, we met at the Black Bean Coffee House here in Gibsons. I still remember riding. I rode the motorcycle over from Vancouver, and I was turning left into the street where the coffee shop was, and this smoking hot redhead was crossing the street.
Oh, God.
My first thought was, because I'm a pig of a guy, was, wow, there's shitloads of smoking hot redhead in this town.
I'm moving here.
Turned out it was her.
And then I looked around and I looked at you and I thought, oh my gosh, that must be him.
I pulled into the, and so this was seeing her from behind. I pulled into the coffee shop parking lot and backed the bike in, and she was standing there looking at me in this beautiful little outfit, this beautiful red hair, that beautiful face, and I was literally speechless.
He wouldn't say anything. I'm going, you okay? Why are you saying anything? Are you going to say anything?
I was speechless because there was this, standing in front of me, was this hot little redhead, beautiful green eyes, this great smile, that sexy accent, great butt. Sorry, guys, but it's true.
And we had a big hug.
A big hug. And then we went in and had coffee, and then I spilt it on her because I'm an idiot.
Twice. The table was rickety. It wasn't. It was the rickety table.
We'll blame the table.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things, at some point later in our relationship, she said to me, so what made you click on my profile? Because she texted me, of course.
I didn't.
She texted me first. Of course.
Text?
The Match.com.
Messaged
Me first. And she said, so what made you respond to my message on Match.com? And I was like, have you seen you?
I didn't.
I'd had to be an idiot to go, nah. She's just not hot enough for me.
When you used your usual Match.com line that you use for all the ladies. Come on, share what it is.
I forgot.
You do not. Come on.
Well, the way Match.com worked is that when you click like on somebody, it sends that person an email saying so-and-so likes you.
You had done that. That's why I messaged you.
And I had done that to her, and then she did it back to me. So what I did then was I cut and pasted that Match.com let's say Melissa likes you on Match.com. And so my line was, I would cut and paste that and say, you might want to check on this. Match.com is sending emails out under your name to complete strange men on the internet.
Yes, was his usual line that he would send out.
And you thought that was amusing?
I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very funny. So it worked on me. I don't know how many other women it worked on, but it worked on me. He must have had to have kept track. He must have had a little book or something.
Spreadsheet. Excel.
You had an Excel spreadsheet.
I switched the pages after a while, but
yeah.
Actually, what I did, I shouldn't tell you this, but whenever I texted a woman, and we got on like iMessage texting, I'd put her name and then what town she lived in, so I knew who I was texting to. So it would be like Susan in Port Moody, and Janice.
To keep track of it all
in White Rock, exactly.
Yeah, there's some awful men on dating sites that they never call you by your name.
That's right.
And then you realize then, oh my gosh, this guy must have like 10 other women going, and he's made the mistake of calling one the other's name.
Yep.
Yes. Never use your name, these guys.
That's why we call women baby.
Yeah.
Just call them all baby.
Anyway, moving on.
Well, and I've got to say, I haven't regretted a single moment since.
No, nor have I.
I went home. I went home the next day, and told.
Oh my God! Quick, keep talking. Oh my gosh! Keep talking. Look, you're red. You have gone red. You went home, and what did you think?
The next day.
You went home.
The next day.
Oh my gosh. Shawn! Come on. It's 5:40 to 10. You know what Monty would be saying cinnamon at this point.
Monty would be screaming cinnamon right now.
He would. He'd be like, stop.
Monty's listening to the archive right now on like Saturday morning going, cinnamon!
He would. He doesn't want to know about it.
Trying to fast forward it. We got a pre-recorded interview with our friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com tonight because he's off to do, he's in America, so he's off to do fireworks celebration.
American things.
I don't know how he's going to do it under the bridge, but we'll find out. In our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about what Melissa remembers from photography. And you'll understand what I mean by that when we start talking about it a little bit later on. But first up, again, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this July 4th holiday Wednesday. On our phone now, we've got a good friend, Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Happy 4th of July, Jim. Even though you're a Canadian, you are now living in the U.S. Are you used to living in the U.S. now? You've been there a few years. Are you comfortable being there?
I am.
Are there times when it still freaks you out?
Yes. Yes.
Are there times that it makes you happy?
Yes. I don't. All the gun stuff freaks me out.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into too much of that, but yeah, that freaks the shit out of me.
The happiest time I was ever in America was whenever I was buying cigarettes and beer.
Mm. Okay, so that's daily.
Exactly. That was the best time to be in America. Whenever you had to pull out your wallet for cigarettes, you went, shit, is this all they cost?
Yeah. Give me another one of those.
That's right. Take a backup pack just in case this one falls in my pocket because I can afford that now.
You almost feel like you're robbing them or something.
That's right. You know how much these cost in Canada? Hey, I saw this really funny tweet yesterday, and give us your thoughts about this. 39 years ago today, the Walkman was introduced, and backlash soon followed. It's very funny. There's a bunch of headlines about banning the Walkman. Will personal headphones lead to a world of silence? Personal stereos causing considerable furor. Are Walkmans a menace? That's kind of funny looking at this from the prism of 40 years later, isn't it?
Well, we all know that millennials are the menace. So that's...
You know what's scary? The oldest millennials are now in their 40s.
Jeez.
We keep talking about millennials, but the oldest of that generation is now hitting 40. We got to stop saying millennials as if it's some pejorative term for those in their 20s. It's not anymore.
Well, I suppose, yeah. The Walkman was an interesting beast when it came out.
Yeah.
But, I had one. I think
everyone had one. Yeah. At the time, up until the iPod, I think it was the most widely sold personal electronic device in the world.
It was, yeah. The iPod overtook the Walkman, but the Walkman for its time was revolutionary.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and you say that you wanted a Walkman, but people, the Walkman was the generic term, became the generic term for these cassette players. That I had a like a lanyard type strap on mine, so it just went over my shoulder, and I put the headphones on, the way you go. It was great.
It was the first time, because when I was a kid at that age, everyone wanted a boombox. Everyone wanted a big old ghetto blaster, that took 18 D cells for half an hour, and then it was just gone. You brought them to the basketball court. This was the first time we were able to take our music with us in a very, very personal kind of way, and it really I still remember it really disturbed a lot of people that us young people were blocking the outside world out. We're ignoring the outside world, not from the point of view of safety, but from the point of view of being antisocial.
Well, and that hasn't changed. We're all antisocial now.
And now I think we're okay with it, aren't we?
Oh yeah, of course we are. I mean, geez, I'm antisocial. I go outside, if I'm somewhere, and the first thing I do is put my headphones on. I don't want to talk to people.
And no one thinks about that anymore. No one thinks that that person is being antisocial walking down the street with their earbuds on or the AirPods on. But back in the day, 40 years ago, that really was a perception. I think part of it was because of the nature of the Walkman. The music bled out of the cheap little over the head headphones they had, and I could hear your frickin' music. That's the biggest thing that always annoyed me about Walkmans is I was always able to hear your music. I don't want to hear your music at the best of times, let alone on the bus sitting next to me, kind of thing.
So I remember this was just a few years ago. I walked into a bar, sat down, and I put my headphones in, and this guy next to me was talking. And I'm looking at him, and I have my headphones on, and he's looking at me.
Yeah.
So I take them off, and he said, you're not going to get to talk to many people when you put headphones on. And I looked at him, put my headphones back on.
That's right.
Yeah, you get the hint? I don't want to talk to people.
That's right.
I'm just trying to enjoy my beer, So yeah, I'm antisocial. I can be. I can be very sociable too.
It's how I get on airplanes. I make sure when they call the boarding thing, now boarding group C. That's when I put my headphones on, and they're not even plugged in anything.
Oh yeah, I know.
They're just in there 'cause I want to sit down. I want to scope out that person next to me before I take these things out, because I don't want to find out that I'm sitting next to some chatterbox person who's just going to piss me off with this 8-hour flight.
I just put them in.
Yeah.
I just put my headphones. I'll nod and nod and nod and nod while I'm putting my headphones in, and then boom.
Yep.
Done.
Yep. but it's funny how it enabled us to bring that musical world into ourselves, as opposed to it blasting out from ghetto blasters all over the place. We were able to make it much more personal. I wonder if, would you play different music on your Walkman or on your iPod than public music? Music maybe that you were embarrassed to listen to?
No, there's nothing I'm embarrassed to. I don't care. So, I played the same music now that I played then.
Yeah,
so,
true.
So on my Walkman, I would walk around with Back in Black and Highway to Hell. That's something else too. You had to walk around with a boatload, like a wagon pulling behind you, cassettes. So I would have some AC/DC, some Ozzy, some Iron Maiden, and now I still have AC/DC, Ozzy, Iron Maiden.
Yep.
But now it's on my iPhone or in the cloud. And, granted, it's a lot easier to listen to things these days than what it was then.
And in the summertime, you'd worry about your stuff melting.
Oh, that is very true.
Yeah. I remember I lost several cassettes one time. You leave me out in the sun, you're playing basketball for 4 or 5 hours, you come back and everything's just a puddle in your knapsack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Everything that is new is old. Everything that is old is new again. So what goes around comes around. It was just very funny to read some of these articles about the Walkman 39 years ago today. There was a story posted up, why Tech's favorite color is making us all miserable. This is one of those stories. Did you read this story from Fast Company Design?
I didn't.
It's basically saying that the blue-ish light that comes off our screens actually keeps us awake. Supposedly there's scientific testing that shows this. But the problem is the opening sentence or the opening paragraph. It said, when I was 14, I saved my money to buy a tricked-out, nice gaming PC. I outfitted my computer with tons of blue LED fans. I kept it on at night right next to my bed. So now they're blaming blue light for this. Instead of blaming this dumbass 14-year-old for having a bright screen on as he's going to sleep.
Yeah.
I've got my DVR, we've got our modem, our router, and I have to put tape over all those blue lights that are on our devices nowadays. Do you have that problem? Do you turn off those devices? Do you block that blue light?
I don't have any of those.
Is there no light emitting objects in your bedroom?
No, I have an alarm clock, a bundled up towel that I use for a pillow, and a shopping cart.
Sorry, I forgot. You're living under the bridge. I'm sorry.
That's what I have in my bedroom.
It was rude of me to mention that. My apologies.
I even sold the bed.
You were on the Dalrymple report with Dave Mark, or not you were on, but Dave Mark was on with you, and you guys were talking about Apple's original content. There's also the story that Apple has announced a multi-year partnership with Oprah Winfrey. Do you think what Apple's doing with original content is obvious? They're doing the same thing Netflix did, just get a bunch of shows so that you can then sell those to other people? Or do you think it's unobvious that they're doing something that we haven't thought about yet?
Well, I don't think you can ever underestimate Apple.
Yeah.
And what they do, but Apple has made it very clear that they don't want, they want basically G-rated shows, type of shows.
Yeah.
They've made that very clear.
Yeah, which you and I disagree on. You think they should do more PG-13 and R, right?
I think they should.
Yeah.
I think that they shouldn't let a rating dictate what their show can be. I mean, I watched so many great original shows on Netflix, and if Apple shows are just going to be, made for kids, then whatever.
Yeah,
They'll sell a ton of those.
Yeah.
There's no doubt they'll sell a ton. I'm not saying that they're not going to be successful. I'm just saying it's not for me, and it's not for many of the adults that are watching Netflix, Amazon, HBO. Those, maybe those ones aren't that popular. They seem popular. I mean, Netflix is making a ton of money.
Yep.
So, if that's not what if Apple doesn't want to make successful shows, then that's great.
But isn't good content regardless of its rating?
Okay, that can be true too. So that's what I'm trying to say, though. You just said what I'm trying to say. They're trying to make G-rated content, but good content is good content regardless of the rating. So I just watched a show on Netflix, 2 seasons worth, called Marcella.
Haven't heard of it.
It's about a British cop, a woman British cop. And, every once in a while in the show, they show a risque scene or they say fuck or, but it's not prevalent in the show, but once in a while it's there.
Yeah.
And it totally fits the scenario that you're in.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not going to have this incredible thing happening, and they're not going to stand up and say, oh, gosh darn it. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but, it's not that often, and it fits the script of what the character is doing and what the show is doing.
Sure.
And I loved it. I really loved it. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they need, naked people running around the screen and they need all of this gratuitous stuff, language and violence and sex. I'm just saying make a real show and go from there. You don't think that the real Law and Order SVU people don't say fuck? Of course they do.
Of course they do, yeah.
And so that's what HBO does. That's what Amazon does. That's what Netflix does. I think that they try and make, the language and the situations fit with the show.
Yeah.
Apple was going in apparently a different direction. Now, those shows that Oprah narrated, called Planet Earth.
Planet Earth, yeah.
Those were absolutely brilliant. I loved those. I couldn't wait to watch those.
Yet they were better in the original English.
What?
They were better in the original English. Do you realize that David Attenborough, the British naturalist, was the original narrator of that series, Planet Earth?
I did not.
They changed it because the American audience couldn't understand his accent.
Oh, my God.
Yes, his accent.
I didn't know that.
One of the most well-spoken British people on the planet. In America, they felt that Americans wouldn't be able to understand his accent, so they got Oprah to do it.
Well, that's just stupid.
It really is.
So, yeah, I mean, if they signed on Oprah to do an Oprah show, then I'll throw my Apple TV out back. I mean, if that's what this is, then my Apple TV is gone. I never want to see it again. But if they got her to do some, documentary interviews with good people and stuff like that, I'll give that a try.
Yeah.
I'll give that a try. But, I think Apple's got more talent than to just do that.
And I think, to answer my own question off the top of this segment, I think Apple is going to do something different. Yes, they're going to go along with Netflix and have their own original content, but either the presentation is going to be different, in other words, it'll be via subscription on the Apple TV or whatever it might be, or the actual shows themselves will be different. Apple will not be just doing the regular sitcom stuff or the regular hour-long drama or just a nature documentary. I would like to think that Apple has more ingenuity than that and is looking for different ways to differentiate themselves from the Netflix, from Amazon, from Hulu, and those kinds of things. I think that's what hopefully I think that's what Apple's going for.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope that they do have some fresh ideas and things that they can do.
Because if nothing else, the good news is Apple doesn't have to do this stuff. They can take their own time. Netflix, for example, had to go the way they went into original content because they were finding they were bumping up against Hollywood and their rules and requirements for selling content to Netflix. Netflix said, the hell with it, we'll just make our own content. So Apple doesn't have to do this. They can pick and choose and do it in whichever way they want. They don't have to follow the Netflix model.
Well, I think you're right, and Netflix has over 100 shows or something now.
Oh yeah, easily that many.
And some of it works, some of it doesn't work.
Yep.
But I respect the fact that they're out there and they're trying different things, and I think some of the shows are just brilliant that they have, and that's what I would rather watch than network TV.
I agree. I'd much rather see someone try something that's a little different than what we usually say. Have you ever seen the TV show Fleabag?
No.
I don't know if it's on Netflix, but if you get a chance, watch it. It's a British show with a British creator, a female creator. Really interesting. And then about 2 episodes in, it starts to get dark. And it starts to get that typical weird kind of odd British type thing where everything's normal, but there's this undercurrent of there's something going on here. I love that kind of TV. If that had been an American show, it would have been easily predictable how this would have gone. Women gets boy, woman loses boy, woman gets boy back again. Nothing different there. But this one, and I hope Apple goes that route where they're trying different things, even if they fail miserably at them. At least try different things because they have the freedom to try this new stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And Amazon is doing the same thing.
Yep,
so.
That's right. Moving on to another week has gone by with the OS 10 Mojave beta that you've been running, along with the iOS 12 beta that you've been running. Any new issues? Any new problems? It seems to be, again, what I'm seeing on websites, remarkably stable. Mojave.
Yeah, I don't have any issues. I mean, I've been using it steady, and I mean, nothing. There's the odd crash of an app, or whatever. The news app will crash.
Yep.
But you got to expect that with a beta.
Sure.
I don't consider any of that stuff to be a major problem. Not being able to connect to the internet, that would be a major problem.
Yeah.
The screen going blank, that would be a problem.
No.
I don't see any of that stuff going on.
This is the first time in a long time I've been tempted by a beta, both of iOS 12 and Mojave, because they've been so stable. I'm not going to. I'm resisting the temptation. But it really is tempting because it seems everyone's remarked on how stable it does seem.
Yeah, it really is. And so is iOS 12.
Yeah.
Remarkably stable.
Now, with iOS 12, one of the things that you and I talked about immediately after WWDC was the screen time functionality of iOS 12. Have you paid attention to it? Are you using it? Is it making any difference in the way you use your iPhone?
So I realized that mine wasn't turned on. So I had to go in and turn it on. So I'll let you know when I look at the beta.
See, that would have been the first thing I would have done, because I'm deeply curious, but I still don't believe that anyone's going to change their habits based on screen time.
No, they're not. No, they may change their kids' habits based on screen time,
absolutely.
But they're not going to change their own.
Yeah. Melissa and I were talking about this last night, and I said, if you look at your screen time and it says that you are on Facebook for 5 hours a day, all you're going to do is go, okay, I'm a Facebook junkie. You're not going to stop using Facebook. If you're that much of a Facebook junkie, screen time is not going to stop you.
No. But if you look at it and see that your kids are on Yahoo or YouTube
yep.
for 20 hours a day, then you're going to change that,
yeah.
Even though you're a junkie on Facebook.
Exactly. That's right. Do as I say, not as I do. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to doing that. I'm going to put when iOS 12 comes out, I think it will go on our son's iPhone 5 SE. I think he's got. I'm definitely going to put that on for screen time, just so I can see to confirm what I believe, that he's on YouTube 8 hours a frickin' day.
Yeah.
Folks, have been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, hope you have a great 4th of July. Be safe and have fun with our American friends down there.
Thanks, Shawn.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye. Bye.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here this Wednesday evening. So few of you on the Wednesday evening, but that's okay. The July 4th holiday week, midweek, for you guys, for most of our listeners down in the U.S. We were just talking, when I talked to Jim Dalrymple this afternoon, I mentioned the TV show Fleabag. You and I started watching that on, and it was in relationship to what is Apple going to do with their content service. What kind of content are they going to produce? Is it going to be off-the-wall stuff like Fleabag, or is it going to be rated G stuff for Disney? Where's Apple going to go for that? And Monty, Mosquito, in our chat room, said Fleabag is awesome. And I reminded him, some of you may not have seen another show called Killing Eve. The woman in Fleabag, the British actress in Fleabag, is the creator of Killing Eve, and we loved Killing Eve.
Oh, fabulous.
It was a fantastic show.
So well done.
If you haven't had a chance to watch Killing Eve.
Edgy, funny.
And then Mo recommends a show called Catastrophe. Review.
She was also in I don't think it was Catastrophe. She was also in a movie about a bunch of squatters. She played the ukulele in it a lot. On her way to
London. Her name is Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, it's quite brilliant.
Crashing, was it called?
Yes.
Yeah, it's up on her IMDb page. If you, I think that was the first time I ever honestly impressed Melissa. Was when I told her I had an IMDb list. That impression didn't last long, apparently.
So
you didn't think it was impressive?
A what?
Internet movie database. So you were basically...
That was another girl.
So the truth comes out.
You did not tell me that.
The truth comes out that you were just faking being impressed.
I don't know what you mean. Did you call it that when you told me?
Yes, IMDb. And you asked what IMDb was. I said it's the Internet Movie Database. I said, do a search for me on that. I said, just where you can find out information about actors and movies and TV shows. And you went, oh, that's interesting. I said, yeah, you can look up any actor you want or any TV show you want, and it's going to be there. Description of it and things like that. And I said, I've got a listing. No, you don't. For me, it's John King. Remember that movie came up that I was in called Magcats?
Oh, yes, I know now. I thought, and I loved it, said that Mac users go to...
And
was that your line?
That was my line off the top of my head.
Pretty
live.
Like,
we were standing.
I was pretty
We were
impressed.
standing outside the Moscone Center in San Francisco. I probably thought that before because it's not like it's...
Yeah.
I wouldn't claim it to be an original line of mine because it seems pretty obvious. I don't think I've ever heard anyone else say it, but it's... You have to put that knee down because it looks like a boob. Well, because it looked like he had 3 of them.
Was that movie on Amazon? You can get that movie.
Yep. In our starting point photography segment this week, last week we talked. It was very funny. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. Our friend Lauren Finkelstein, after last week's episode on framing, posted a photo on Facebook. He said, "Shawn's got me looking for frames all over the place. He's got frame pictures of He's got selfies with arches behind him now. It's very cute. So good. I'm glad that you remembered it, and it leads on to this segment, Lauren. So thank you very much for leading on this. Something that Melissa and I have been talking about off and on for the last little while, and it's interesting to hear you talk about the things you remember, not the things you learn about whatever I've told you, whatever you learned about photography, but the things you remember. And sometimes that's more important. That, you can learn things, but if you don't remember them, it's a moot point. I can learn how to take a history exam, right? I can learn the answers to the question, but if I don't remember them, they're no use to me after. So I can teach you photography stuff, and you can take a test on it and know those things. But if you don't learn that story, if you don't remember that stuff, kind of useless. So what were you telling me about the things that I've taught you that you remember?
Oh my God. Well, and you have to learn them by doing them.
Yes.
Well, we were going down to the village for Canada Day, and I said, I want to take the camera.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought of was, okay, you've got your training wheel. You've only got training wheels. So put the Olympus into automatic mode, or, you know.
No, I just don't. It's covering up your face. Look at your beautiful face. Look at the microphone.
And just get down there and don't think about some of those composition that Shawn about.
Yes.
Leading line, frame, portrait shots, portrait, getting down and closer to the level that your photographs do.
Well, the first thing is that you're remembering is composition.
Yes.
All the leading lines and framing, all that are aspects of composition. Getting down low. Those are all aspects of composition.
Right.
And so you're remembering to do some of those things. Again, as I've always said, you don't use every single tip, every single photograph. You look at the scene, you imagine what you want it to look like, and then you say, okay, what have I been told? What do I remember about this kind of scene and how to capture that? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that you did when we were out canoeing was the composition thing. It was very funny. I terrified, dug the camera out and handed it to her. And then she said, okay, go paddle over there. And she sent me off paddling in order to get the composition that you wanted.
I did, yeah.
And it was really good. I mean, this is the shot that Melissa took. And then with a little bit of editing, this is the shot that we posted up on Instagram. But our friend Dave Martin said this photograph is print worthy.
Which one is it?
The one from behind.
Oh,
yes. When you sent me off to, just.
It's a good one.
It's a great shot.
Yeah,
I love that shot.
Yeah.
And this is not bragging.
Yeah.
The hat really kind of makes it.
Great. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The clouds, the paddle, the blue of the water, the blue of the sky. Mm-hmm. Your horizon isn't dead center.
No, it's not.
All kinds of really good things about this photo.
Mm-hmm.
So in this regard, it was the composition that was really, really good. And then you took the other shot of me where you specifically looked behind you because you remembered that tip for the Canadian flag. And you maneuvered us around so the Canadian flag would be in the shot. Because that's a wonderful shot, especially taken on Canada Day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, it wasn't. But
shit.
Still, it was after.
Close enough. But the only concern you had was the clouds in the background.
I was concerned about the clouds.
I don't think they interrupt it.
No, I kind of looked at it. It'll be okay. Like they don't look like they cover your head.
But the important thing is you thought about the shot.
I am thinking about it more and more.
And you didn't just get focused like so many beginners do on the thing that's in the front of the frame. You looked behind it. You looked to the corners. You looked around to see what was around the shot that would add to it or distract from it. So it's the remembering part that can sometimes be more important than the learning. I can give you a book and you can read everything there is to know about photography. But if you don't remember anything, it doesn't matter. And then the other thing is the practice. Practice. It makes such a difference. There's this thing I've told you. The last time we went out shooting was what, a month ago, 2 months ago? There was this thing I told you. You keep making this mistake in your photography. Mm-hmm. And then when you went to shoot a couple of days ago, you made the same mistake. And it's not because you're a dummy, but it's because you don't practice this thing. So you don't think about it. And it's the thing that it's probably the most common mistake beginners make with the camera, not composition-wise, but with the actual physical camera. And it's not paying attention to your focus. That thing where you half press the camera shutter and something on the inside of your camera flashes, a little square or a blue dot or green square or whatever it might be, to tell you that's where the camera is going to focus. And because that focus point on many cameras can be moved in any number of places and ways, my D600 has 39 different focus points. Professional, higher level professional cameras will have 51 different focus points. And if for whatever reason you're messing around with your camera or the focus point slides around or moves or something, if you don't pay attention to that and look at the beautiful person's face. I'll take a picture. You take a picture of the face, but your focus point was up there. This is going to be in focus, but this person's face might be. So you've really got to pay attention to that.
I'm remembering that more now. The phone.
Yes.
Because I'm finding spot.
Focus. It's easier on the phone because
it's
you can
easier,
just tap on the screen.
Touch it.
But it's not. Because the Olympus M1 has a touchscreen. So you could easily look at the screen on the back and tap, and it will focus on what you tapped on.
Oh, well, that makes
The
sense.
problem is this screen uses up all your battery. The biggest battery drain on your digital camera, especially mirrorless cameras, is the big screen of the back. This sucks up most of your battery. Looking through this sucks up a little bit. On mine, my D600 sucks up no battery life. Because as I said before, my viewfinder is an optical viewfinder. It gets information through the lens. This viewfinder is an electronic viewfinder. So it's a little tiny TV screen. It's not seeing what's through the lens. It's seeing what's on the sensor of the camera. So therefore, it's taking up energy, taking up battery juice, showing you the little TV screen. And then the bigger TV screen takes up even more. So you want to, on mirrorless cameras, on all cameras, you want to use this as little as possible. But if you're having trouble with the focus point, just holding this up and just literally just tapping the screen, it will focus on that. So if you want to, you can sort of get a general focus, tap, and then bring your eyes to it, or extra batteries. Bring 2 or 3 or 2 batteries. We've got 2 batteries. Just make sure both batteries are charged at all times. You won't have that problem.
Well, and the other thing I thought of that day was I want to take the camera and I want to be a photographer for a while today. And I want to focus on doing some things.
I think that's the other thing that's really important. Is you went out not just to wander around on Canada Day with the camera in your hand. You went out thinking you wanted to be a photographer. You wanted to photograph. And that was your primary goal. Yes, you were there with your husband and your son. You're walking around in Canada Day and get some ice cream and walk on the pier there and all that kind of stuff. But you at least at the beginning of your day thought, I want to be a photographer. I want to take pictures.
Yeah.
And what was it you were telling me about looking?
About looking around.
Because you were thinking like a photographer, you were looking around a whole lot more for photographic images.
Oh, well, I looked for all the position things. Well, first of all, I knew I thought, well, today I do want to take a lovely photograph of Rory, and I want to think about where across that beautiful, beautiful tree. I love our beauty. But then I wanted to look for things for framing, and I thought, well, the dock is down there. There's a possibility to use the dock as a line. I know there was a wonderful picture of the 2 people sitting in this beautiful old-fashioned open boat flag, and they even looked like they were dressed in old-fashioned clothing.
Yeah.
So I walked all the way down to the shore, thinking that I tried for that.
I think it's a lovely photograph.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
2 people sitting in their little dinghy.
They sat there for hours.
Oh, yeah,
they were watching
they really did.
music. Yeah.
I love that photo.
Yeah, it's Canada Day on the coast. And then I asked people, can I take a picture of your little dog? And I got way down on the ground. I could have done that a lot better, but
this photo of Rory and I is a great example of you instead of just taking an accidental photo, you said, okay, you guys sit here.
Yep.
I'm going to do this. You look behind us and you had your camera set up. This is intentionally shot pose photo. And it came out great.
It did. Yeah,
and then the other one that you took.
Silly. It's just such a fat, fluffy little thing. But he had his. But I did ask the people, can I take a picture of your dog? And I got way down on the ground, and Shawn said to me later what you could have done, It was a really good, it was one of my most enjoyable little photography.
The first key was that as I always try to do, tell people, get to the eye level of the thing you're shooting. So if it's a person, you can stand up. But if it's a little kid, get down on, bend over. If it's an animal, get down on the ground.
Yeah,
and
I
you
thought
get
it
these,
was almost on the ground.
Yeah, and you get these their eye level shots. I think this is a better shot. If you imagine the shot with you standing up and shooting down top of the dog, it wouldn't have been nearly as interesting.
No,
but this one, with you sitting on the ground, this fat little dog sitting there with his complete unnecessary Canada flag. I don't know why the poor dog was sweating.
On this dog.
The poor dog was sweating his little doggy balls off. You could just tell. Oh yeah, he was not having a good time in that regard. But then the other thing was you've got the focus point right. You put the focus point on the little doggy eye.
On his eye.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that the little doggy eye is in focus.
So nothing award winning, but I just felt like I felt good about it.
Yeah.
I finished when we had finished our walk and everything. I felt like,
Yeah. And the other thing is the idea of you want to think to yourself, each time I go out, I'm getting a little better at that thing I'm shooting. So again, with repetition, you'll start to automatically look behind things. You'll automatically get down low. You'll automatically set your focus point right. And when those simple things become automatic, then you go to the more advanced.
Exactly.
Then maybe after 500 shots in portrait mode, you'll realize I want to take more control, so I'll use priority. We were playing around here in the backyard, and we were trying to work it out to get the right formula with bubbles. And we both have this vision of these bubble pictures we want to take. And Melissa's already thinking about how to take these pictures. Again, we've got some beautiful flowers out here, so we want to be able to take pictures of the bubbles going. So we're thinking about the shots ahead of time, imagining what we need to do to our cameras and to the bubbles to get those shots, and then moving on. I think it's good. It makes me feel really good, not just from husband point of view, but also from a photography instructor point of view, to hear a student say, yes, I'm learning, I'm remembering this stuff.
And I'm hardly doing it, but I'm still remembering.
And the important thing is that you don't beat yourself up over your mistakes, but that you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, well, next time I thought, when you reminded me, I thought, next time I go out, I'm just going to do the focus. That's what I want to.
Yeah.
In addition to those other things, my focus. Practice.
Exactly. As always, if you have any emails, you can send them to us at Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or on show.com. I got an email from Steve. I received an email that seems to be from Apple. It was sent only to my alternate email address and not to my iCloud email. I've looked closely at the links in the email, and they seem to be legitimate. I've also looked at the headers. Okay, too, although I don't know headers. Here's the text. Dear Steve Kane, you recently requested a password reset or unlock your ID. Click the link below to continue. If you didn't make this change, or if you believe an unauthorized person has accessed your account, go to iforgot.apple.com to reset your password immediately, then sign in your Apple ID to review and update security settings. He says, the sentence, you recently requested a password reset or unlock your Apple ID, does not seem to me to be grammatical. Otherwise, the email is legitimate. You get this on a fairly regular basis. They're called phishing emails, or spoof emails. Emails that look to your naked eye like they're supposed to. They have the right pictures, they have the right text, they have the right email from and to, and you think, and you've gotten burnt on. Oh, I'll just do this thing. No reputable company will ask you through email to click on this link to set your password. What they'll do is they'll say, go to our website. No, sorry. They won't say, send us your email or send us your password, and we'll change things for you.
Yeah, no.
Even if they say, click on this link to change your password, first thing I do is I hover over the link in the website to see if it looks like it's a legitimate link. So if the website, for example, here says appleid.apple.com, if I hover over that and it says russia.ru, the text, that's the problem with these links. The text can say one thing, but the email ID, so the URL can take you to a different place. So that's the first thing I do is I check that. The second thing I do is I don't click on that link. I then go to that website, appleid.apple.com. And if I want to change my password, I think these are good warnings, reminders to change your password. Whenever I get one, I go and change the password. Even though it may be legitimate, even though I may not have been hacked, it's just you should always regularly change your passwords. And the great thing is with things like iPassword, it's easy to do. I can go and change my password on my password in one password in a second. I just go to my Apple ID, go into my settings, forget password, tell one password, think up a new one. It does, I'm done. So if I didn't get hacked, I still change my password. If I did get hacked, I change my password. And you can use the other thing about it is if you have gotten hacked and you use the same password everywhere else. So some people will hack your Netflix account and you think, it's no big deal. They've got my Netflix password. But so many people use their Netflix password for their bank, for their DMV, for their Social Security, for. They use one password, a single password for all of their banking and credit card information. Makes it a lot easier that way. Which is why I like 1Password so much, because I think in 1Password, the last time I checked was when you and I were talking before, and I got 500 different passwords. Some of them might be dead, but old. But every single one of those 500 passwords is a different password. Every single one of them is between 8 and 20 characters, and it's something I can't possibly remember. Because 1Password will make these really funky passwords for you. Do you want to go get it, or should I?
Can't believe you.
Do you want to go get it, or should I? Do you want to go get it, or should I? Melissa has gotten up and is walking over and has, give it to me. If you are a server guy, if you are a network admin, if you are involved in security in any way, shape, or form, look away. Look away. This is a little notebook. It's got it says, what is it? She opened it, a burst of light, a forgotten memory, a new beginning. Isn't that sweet? Inside this are Melissa's passwords. Written down on page after page after page, passwords. Here's her password for Match.com. Her password Gmail, Skype, LD Extras, Coast Eastlink, Netflix. They're all written down. Written down.
For a non-nerd, I think I'm very organized to have them all written down.
You might be organized, but it's not safe.
Well, who's going to come into my house and look at all my little passwords?
Nobody.
Who am I? I'm no one.
Look at mosquito. Oh, honey.
Oh, Mo.
But the problem is, you are not. That's not unusual. You know, every kid's hacker movie shows the kid going into the principal's office and opening up the drawer, and there's the password written down there, right?
I know.
Because that's what we have to do. Because the nerds say your password must be very complex and secure. I can't remember it's so complex and secure, but I can write it down.
It's a horrible dilemma.
So Netflix.
But picture this, folks, like this great big Mr. King. I'm going, Shawn, and he comes in, and there he is, and he's so efficient, and I'm just, I'm all starry-eyed still. And now he looks at me, and I go, hold on, I gotta go and get my little book. Oh my gosh! But I have this Shawn King. I have the password.
She has 1Password now. I've installed 1Password for her, and hopefully you're using it next time. So you're telling me I've installed that, but you don't use it?
Well, but I don't know what to do. So you can tell me later, honey.
It's definitely one of the problems that security has, is that the need for strong, secure passwords. You're only secure as you want to be. As you're only secure as the effort you put into being secure. right? Like perfect security is don't use the internet. Perfect insecurity is you just don't. You got to find someplace in the middle where you're comfortable. And it's great that companies, and there's other password managers out there, but my favorite is 1Password. So there are companies out there that will help you manage this stuff by making these passwords very, very complex, but also making remembering them very, very easy. And 1Password does that. 1Password can make these insanely complex passwords, but also very easy to remember in that you don't have to remember them at all. But you've got to use the software.
But, okay, so I'm 54 years old.
Yes.
I'm
You
not
look
a nerd.
35.
Number.
Yes.
So, and I've worked with computers all my career. Because I'm in health.
Yep.
And they all have to be very secure, but it's guy's office.
Yes.
But people even younger than me, even and then older than me, that kind of, they want to be on the computer. This password stuff, they don't know about all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Passwords.
Yep.
It's a real issue.
It is.
I mean, does it make it better when your bank asks a question?
Excellent question.
Mm.
And nowadays, no.
Why?
Because so many of us use Facebook. You know what I'm talking about, do you?
Yes, I do.
Facebook has all of these little quizzes. These are so cute. What was the name of your dog name when you were a kid? And you go, oh, it was Fluffy. Okay. But then you go to your bank password. Sorry, you go to your banking system. And your bank says, what was the name of your dog? Fluffy. So because people can harvest that, and there are instances of those quizzes on Facebook being used to get that information from you.
Oh my God!
You know although
I'm not a big Facebookie, I don't share a lot of information.
You've seen it on Facebook that someone will say, the name of your first dog in the street where you grew up on is your porn name, and you write, no, it was Whiskey Princess Margaret Boulevard for me, right? Mm-hmm. And then that information is now out there in the world, and I can go to your bank, and if your bank says name of first pet, you go, oh, Whiskey. Mm-hmm. Name of school, name of your high school, it's on Facebook. It's right there. Mm. So what I do on all those banking password type things, I lie. I'll switch up. If you're consistent, or you can use 1Password. Because 1Password, name of your dog doesn't have to be Fluffy. It can be 79?47321. You can make those words. The answers don't have to make any sense. The computer isn't going to say, no, that's a bullshit name. No names their dog that. The computer on the other end doesn't care. So you can use 1Password for those kinds, but you should never use the real information about that. But for me, I'm lucky in that I remember that I do this. So a bank will ask me, what's your hometown? Well, everyone knows my hometown is Halifax, so I'm not going to use that. What I use is my favorite city. That's not Halifax. Someone says, what was the name of your high school? And there's a completely different high school that I use for the information that I never went to, Toronto, exactly. So yeah, you've got to do a little work to be secure. But I'm glad you mentioned your IT guy. Part of the problem is that companies' IT departments don't explain this stuff to users. They just tell the user, you've got to do it this way.
They don't educate us.
They don't educate at all.
They educate us for things that they need us to know
exactly.
about. Like they'll go, okay, and out there. Because they don't want to lose his password over the
I've seen your guys' emails, and it's obvious that they are written by the IT guys for the IT guys. They're not written for the user. These are the typical IT guys who are trying to make their jobs easier.
Yeah, we don't want to have to send it out to.
Whereas it'd be so much easier if they would just teach people how to use things like 1Password.
Well, yeah, like my brother. My brother is so not.
He's not techie.
But his password stuff.
That's right. And for the vast majority of people, it's not going to matter. But all it takes is that one time. You've had your Van City credit card not hacked, but certainly security issues, 4 or 5 times?
Oh, yeah.
That's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, there's been no repercussions going, except for the fact that now you've got 3 or 4 credit cards lying around that Van City hasn't.
They have to take care of it.
Care
get it off. Yeah.
So there's the hassle. Now, I'm not saying your Van City thing had anything to do with password, but it's the aspect of security, being safe and doing things safely that we don't teach you. One of the great things about in the days of small little local ISPs, I know when I was the Mac guy for a small ISP in Vancouver, I was able to write procedures and systems for our Macintosh clients, teach them how to do things. And so when they went to the website of the ISP, they could click on this link to learn how to be more secure, or how to use this app, or how to do these things. Nowadays, to do that, your local ISP, TELUS, Roger, doesn't give a rat's ass.
Things pouring.
Yep.
And security is really many people.
And part of it's because good security is a pain in the ass, because it's supposed to be. Now there's this thing called, you haven't heard of it, called two-factor authentication. And what it is it's the idea that there's something the password, and something you have. So I'll go to, I've got mine set up on Apple's website, on Google. So I'll go to Google's website, and Google will say, what's your password? I type it in, then Google will send me a text on my phone that says, did you just do that?
Yeah.
That's two-factor authentication.
Yeah, I've had lots
because
of
what would happen
TELUS
is, if I didn't have the phone, I wouldn't be able to get on that system. You have to have two things.
I
two
like
factors.
the phone backup thing.
Yeah. So there are ways to make, but the problem is it's a bit of a pain if every time you have to go to Google, that pops up. So
if it's
again,
security, then why is it?
Because good security is a pain.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of good security. So, anyway, we're gonna get out of here. We've got stuff to do. Teasing.
We have movies to watch.
We have a 12-year-old to entertain. Again, hopefully everyone in America had a wonderful America Day, Independence Day, July 4th, and you have a good weekend. You all play safe, fireworks, and kind of boom boom shit. Love. Don't want to blow any fingers off or any toes off. As always, thanks to our good friend Jim Dalrymple at The Loop at loopinsight.com. And to you guys being tuned in live or being tuned in via the archive. As always, I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Thanks very much for tuning in, folks. See ya.
Bye.